Well, this young man got off to a good start, didn't he? Intact family, Christian.
In my life, I was predominantly raised in a Christian-centric household, meaning that my family wasn't really Christian, but they did hold a lot of Christian beliefs. I mainly grew up with my mother and my siblings. My dad was in and out of my life, but even the times we didn't catch up, my dad did lean more towards the pro-black kind of anti-white establishment. I come from a Caribbean household, and my dad, he's not necessarily Rastafarian, but he does lean towards more of the Rastafarian kind of pro-black, like white people are the devil, black people are oppressed, you know, kind of mindset. And my mom was kind of indifferent, you know. I didn't really get into politics or topics like that with my mother.
But over time, he began to adopt that standard narrative. Democrats, good, or at least better than Republicans. Republicans, bad.
I used to think like basically the Republican Party was a party that did hold traditional values, but were more for the rich, or they only looked out for themselves. Well, I felt like the Democratic Party was morally failing, but they actually cared about everybody. You know, they cared about minorities and oppressed people or what have you.
He graduates from high school, goes to college, but little by little becomes what I call a victocrat. Starts blaming other people for his problems. Starts blaming white people, starts hating white people.
But eventually, because it's being hammered on my head so much through my friends or just scrolling through social media that black people are oppressed, you know, Black Lives Matter, the white people are the devil, white privilege, the wage gap, all this kind of stuff, I slowly started hating white people. And it was a very short time where I really hated Caucasians. And growing up, I've never had any ill towards anybody. Like I would say I'm the kind of person who's cool with everybody. I don't care if you're white, black, Spanish, Asian, you're gay, you're atheist, doesn't matter to me. Like if you're cool, I kick it with you. But because it was being preached so much about how evil white people are, I started hating white people. I mean, everywhere I would go, I would look at a white person, man, they have it good. Man, they're such racists. You know, you start assuming that every white person is racist or they don't like black people. And it was to the point where, man, like I was really hating white people.
LeBron James said something very similar about how he felt towards whites when he was growing up.
I was so institutionalized growing up in the hood. It's like they don't with us. They don't want us to succeed. The hierarchy, and then we're here. Like, matter of fact, we're underneath this chair. So I'm like, I'm going to this school to play ball, and that's it.
I mean, this young man really started hating white people.
Every day I was mad. I had so much hatred building in my heart, and I felt miserable, you know. And it's not until I sought help from my pastor who is black, bring some clarity. And, you know, he basically said, you know, that you can't make it in this life, especially in America, without white people's help. Meaning basically like somewhere down the road, a white person is going to help you some way or somehow in America. Or, you know, you just can't hate people because, I mean, God made everyone equal. And, you know, it doesn't matter if you're white, black, or Spanish, whatever, like we're all created equal. You know, and every race have done their fair share of injustices in the world.
But then he started watching videos made by conservatives like Ben Shapiro and yours truly and began to change his mind.
After seeing all the videos from Ben Shapiro, you know, that kind of just opened my eyes, and I just agreed with a lot of what he was saying, and a lot about the victim mentality that's being preached, how the Democratic Party's corrupt, that they're the actual racists and everything like that. And then eventually, from watching Ben Shapiro, that led me to other free thinkers / conservatives like Dave Rubin, I love, Thomas Sowell, Larry Elder, Jordan Peterson, you know, and another YouTuber I watch, his name is The Amazing Lucas. I like his videos as well. So that just kind of led me to really become a conservative, and I guess that's when you can say it was my walkaway moment. And I've never looked back, and now I'm very well informed about politics.
Now I received this phone call from a Nigerian young woman who said she went to college in America, but something very interesting happened. Adobe, how are you?
Fine, thank you, Larry. It's such a pleasure to speak with you. You have no idea.
Well, I don't get very many phone calls from Germany, Adobe, so it's just delightful to hear from you.
Thank you. I mean, I'm a bit of, I think, a nomad because I lived in the U.S. for 5 years. I actually went to school there for 5 years, but I'm Nigerian by nationality. And I found your show, I think, like 2 years ago or something. After living in the U.S. for, I think, 4.5 years, I went there to get an education, but I got, of course, like most people, I got so into the liberal leftist far left ideology that I kept like changing my majors. And one time, I think when I turned 20, I changed my major from computer science or something to like feminist philosophy or something. And so my parents,
lot of jobs for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
My parents did the crazy. So my parents are like born and bred Nigerians. They live in Nigeria. So they did the craziest thing that I think I had ever gone through in my adult life. But I think it's the thing that changed my life because I went home for the holidays, or so I thought. And when I got home, they were like, they seized my passport and they're like, you're not going back because you're crazy. And that literally was my breaking point because I had gone to Nigeria just for holidays, and they were like, no, you're not going back. And I think that was the time that I think for the first 1 year or year and a half, I was really I hated them. I was angry. I was miserable. But I started to, like, look at the culture from the outside in, because when I look back at my time in the U.S., I can't really pinpoint a time that I had all these crazy views. Like, I don't know. I can't explain a switch. It just happened very gradually, and all of a sudden I had all this, typical leftist like talking points. But as I started to look from the culture, because honestly, my experience in America was amazing. Like I first lived in New York for 2.5 years, and I moved to Texas. I did my community college in New York, and I went to Texas to do my the rest of my program. And honestly, like I loved it there. You always hear Texas racist white people. I mean, I read that I was supposed to think that, but personally speaking, it never happened to me. I felt safer there than I did in New York. But I don't know, for some reason, I just believed it because I don't know. I can't explain it. But anyway, I think for me, I started to kind of like see, like I said, see from the outside in why is this culture like this? And I found you, I think, on YouTube, I think about 2 years ago. I've been listening to you since then. And because of you, I found people like Thomas Sowell, Justice Clarence Thomas, Walter Williams, and a host of other prominent black conservators. And when I look back at my time, I paid tens of thousands of dollars to go to school in the U.S., but I feel cheated out of it because I thought college was supposed to show you both sides, and then you pick. But, now that I think back, I mean, even after watching Uncle Tom, I watched Uncle Tom last week, and I just was like, wow, why didn't I know this when I was in America?
Adobe, when you went back to Nigeria, did your parents take your passport because they felt that you were studying foolish things and they felt they were wasting their money?
Yes, and also I had kind of like come up with this, radical leftist feminist ideology. I had told them I didn't believe in God and all that stuff. So yeah, the main reason why they did that was because what, you're wasting our money. You're never going to graduate if you keep doing this. We
didn't send you to America for you to come home as a victim. That's how your parents felt.
Yeah. Yes, and you know what? I was 20 and I was miserable. I was 21 and miserable, but it changed my life. It did. I looked at the culture from the outside and I was like, something is wrong. Something is wrong. And because of that, like, I'm back in school again. I came to Germany by myself. My parents don't take care of me. I go to school. I'm about to graduate finally with my degree because I ended up not finishing in the U.S. I take responsibility because, of course, like you said, like it's so funny because when I moved back home for the first 1 year, I blamed my parents for bringing me back. I never even thought that it was my fault. It was the choices I made that took me back. I was so deep into this victim. Oh, I'm a victim. My parents hate me. The world hates me. Everyone hates me. But going back home and also finding God again, I became a Christian. I started to take responsibility because I think what a lot of people, what a lot of liberals try to do is they try to create a very unrealistic focus of control. So you want to control everyone else, but you can't really control people. You have to control yourself, like how you react to the world around you. The world is tough.
Absolutely.
Black Harvard sociology professor Orlando Patterson said way back in the 90s that America, despite its flaws, is now the least racist majority white society in the world, provides more opportunities for blacks than any other country in the world, including all of those of Africa. And by the way, if Black America were a separate country, its collective GDP would make it the 15th or 16th wealthiest country in the world. And economist Walter Williams says Black people in America have come further ahead from further behind than any other people in the history of the world. So, the civil rights war has been won. The good guys won. Let's convert the troops to civilian duty, shall we? Now, be sure and check out my film, Uncle Tom. It's available on UncleTom.com. I am Larry Elder, and we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.